Hello, I know it's been a while since my last garden update. I actually did one last week and I decided I didn't like it, and I'm glad I'm doing a new one because we've had some extreme temperatures since then, and I wanted to show you what we've done in our garden to protect our plants from the very high heat. So first we have our little shade tunnel here. You can see I have shade cloth covering the tomatoes and peppers that are directly right here next to the house. And in the little raised bed we have like a little hoop house or PVC piping that's looped over for this very reason, to also cover with shade. And I'll just show you what is in this side garden other than the weeds. These are all tomato. These are mostly determinants. That's why they're in pots. I have a few different varieties. One's called cream sausage, one is green sausage, and lastly Cassidy's Folly. And I'll show you what was going on here. So here is cream sausage, green sausage, and here, Cassidy's Folly. What I'm noticing with Cassidy's Folly in particular is just really high blossom end rot. And trust me, I've amended this with a great deal of calcium, but this variety I think just has trouble with blossom end rot. Here's a few more. Hopefully these will turn out okay. The green sausage, not as much. Some of the first few fruits did have blossom end rot, but now they're looking pretty good. Looks like they've kind of gotten out of that. Here is a speckled Roman, and it is also a paste tomato, but it's indeterminate. So I've been pruning it down, trying to keep on top of everything, on top of all the suckering. As you can see, there's a couple there. This is a dwarf tomato. It's called Dwarf Mr. Snow. Couple of little ladybugs hanging out there. And then I have peppers. I think that's a giant, I'm going to mispronounce this, Anconqua, Shishito, and giant Marconi. And the Shishito is flowering like crazy and giving me little peppers. So I can't wait. I have another indeterminate in this pot here. This is called bicolor cherry, and you'll see some tomatoes already forming. This is a purple tomatillo, and it is loaded with little lanterns, little husk. So it's all over the plant. It is just everywhere. And finally down here is another pepper. It's only one of my two hot peppers. This is a white Peruvian habanero. And we turn around the shade cloth here, but at the bottom you will see some volunteers. I thought they were yellow pear tomatoes, but they're not pear-shaped. So really it's going to be a surprise. I have no idea what these are. They're not yellow pear. So we'll find out. We'll just wait and see what nature gives us. Then I get into the raised bed with the hoops. And let's see. I have about 7 different heirloom varieties in here. Indigo rose, true black brandywine, blue boreberries, Hawaiian pineapple, blue gold, big rainbow, and let's see, the last one is Blue Beauty. And they are all keeping cool in the shade. And right now it's about 93 degrees. Yesterday it got up to about 104. And at the end of the bed here is some forage. We put up this portable awning and we put it over our blueberries because we can't move those. So we put them over our blueberries, and then we moved all the other pots around it. So I have 3 blueberry plants, and you'll see that they're covered with this mesh fabric. It's a mesh fabric you get at the fabric store. The birds were eating all of our blueberries. We weren't getting to any. So we put up the mesh fabric, and we've enjoyed quite a few harvests. Here is pole beans. They're purple potted pole beans. And we've had a nice harvest from these purple potted pole beans. You'll see the flowers are purple. They're lovely. Right in here are cucumbers, and I'm trellising them up with random, and I mean random because these are things that just kind of sprouted up, some bunching onions. These are like the bottle type. It's called Red of Italy bunching onions. We got some random carrots in there as well. So bunching onions and carrots in with our cucumbers. In this purple box here are 2 more peppers. One is shishito and the other one's a paprika. Here is another dwarf tomato. This is called Dwarf Arctic Rose. And you'll see all the flowers it's putting on. Next to that is our squash, and this is patty pan squash. Oops. And in there, you'll see the little UFO-shaped squash growing. And next to that is some more peppers. I believe it is... Oh, no, this is the one with the paprika and the shishito. So this one over here is Golden Marconi and Dulce d'Espagne. I'm sure I mispronounced it. Dulce d'Espagne, which are all sweet. In this empty pot here, I harvested potatoes, and it was absolutely wonderful. It was just an experiment I did. I wasn't going to worry about hilling potatoes. I just put the potato chits in there, just the little potatoes, and let it grow. I did cover the top with some straw, and that was it. And they grew beautifully, and I had a great harvest, and I'll post pictures at the end of this video. What I did then was I decided I'm going to try it again. So I put in the little baby immature potatoes back in there, hoping to get another harvest. We'll see. It's getting really hot. We come around the corner and you'll see some lemongrass and dill, which I need to plant out. Another dwarf, I believe that's Dwarf Mr. Snow. This is another cream sausage. And that one there is called Anmore Dewdrop. It's also a tomato, but it's supposed to be a small, compact, bushy tomato where you can have them in hanging planters. So that's why it's in a really shallow pot. This is my jalapeno that was overwintering last year, or I overwintered it from last year, and you'll see a lot of jalapenos hanging off of it, and a few ripe ones in there I need to harvest. It's hanging in there. It's actually a little neglected, so I gave it some TLC the other day. I'm hoping it'll do better. More tomatoes through here, and again, all these pots were somewhere else in the garden, but we had to move them here underneath our patio cover because it was too hot. It was in the triple digits, and we were worried about them surviving. Let's see, these are all indeterminate tomatoes. Let me think. What do I have planted here? I have Rutgers. That's a determinant. Okay, the only determinant. Rutgers, blue zebra, another dwarf Mr. Snow, Bing cherry, I believe. Probably a couple of Bing cherries. And true black brandywine. And another speckled Roman. I'm trying to get my paste tomatoes in this year. Behind it is our, I believe it's apricot. And in here is our snow peas. And these are purple snow peas. They're called Shiraz. And I will show you that they're a light purple. And as it gets hot, or as the sun hits them, they will turn a mottled green. And next to that is another tomato. Our herb planter. And in the herb planter is sage, 2 different kinds of basil, rosemary, and English thyme. And you'll see this English thyme just kind of cascades over the pot. Next to that is our mint. And out here is blackberry, another tomato, and another blackberry that's a little bit more mature. My daughter's fairy garden and a pomegranate. We go out this way. We have an apple tree, and we should have some baby apples on here somewhere. Way up at the top. There we go, 1 apple. Another tomato, but since this pot is so large, I added some Bloomsdale long-standing spinach, which I hope is true to its name because it's hot and it's supposed to not bolt as quickly. Let me go around the back of our patio cover to show you what this shade cloth looks like. So there's our patio cover and the portable awning there, and we just added the shade cloth and we nailed it down with tent spikes. One last raised bed. This one doesn't get as much shade during the day, but it gets shade from the highest heat of the day. These are bush beans. They're actually called dwarf velour French beans, and they're like a French fillet beans. To show you, very thin, dainty beans. And next to it I had some cabbage, which I've pulled out. It's just way too hot. And it's just time to move something else in there. I may just add more bush beans because that's not enough for a family of 4. So I may just plant bush beans all the way to the end. This is zucchini, but it's a round zucchini. I'll see if I can find one for you. You'll see right there a round zucchini. And you'll see a ladybug enjoying the aphids. Behind it, I have my mammoth sunflowers. On Facebook and YouTube, there's a group called Small Town Gardener. And there is a mammoth sunflower growing contest this year. They had one last year. I didn't enter. I entered it this year. So I'm hoping to grow some huge contest-winning sunflowers. There's one way back there, just a little bit smaller. So next to that is my broccoli. These are all purple sprouting broccoli. I'm waiting for them to sprout still. They take forever. These are about 120 days. And that's a long, long time. But in the middle, you will see sprouts are starting to form. And I took advantage of the shade they provide. So underneath, I planted a different kind of spinach. It's called satin. They're just sprouting. And I'm hoping they'll do okay in the shade. And finally, next to that, corn. And this is an early corn. It's called early pink popcorn. I didn't plant a lot. It was just an experiment this year. I don't have very good luck with corn in my garden for whatever reason. So here's a few, and we'll see what happens. In addition to the 2 potted fruiting plants, which was the apricot and the apple, I also have a dwarf lemon, Eureka lemon, and it's fighting a nutrition deficiency, and I've been feeding it. So the newer growth is looking much greener. This is the first year, and I've had it in the ground for about 3 or 4 years. First year I'm actually going to get a lemon or 2. You'll see the other one right there. So we're very excited. This is a dwarf Bear's lime. It has no flowers, no fruits, no nothing. It gave me 3 limes last year, and they were probably the most delicious limes I've ever eaten in my entire life. Hopefully it'll give me a couple more. And then if we go back across to the other side of the garden, I'll show you our last fruit tree. And last but certainly not least, some of you may recognize the peach tree we planted last year that got covered in that black sooty mold. Well, it's doing great this year. And I'm very nicely surprised that we're getting peaches. There's peaches all up and down this tree. For our first year in the ground, I'll be harvesting some delicious peaches. Thank you so much for watching. I'm sorry it's been so long since my last update. I hope you enjoyed my garden tour. Have a wonderful day.